It's not quite time yet, but good morning, good morning, good morning. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Good morning. Let's turn this light up a little bit. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Tell a friend we're a little early. We got another 3 minutes, but I wanted to at least get on here. So let the folks know that we're here. Good morning, good morning, greetings, greetings. We're in week 7 of our virtual AP Leadership Academy. I need to check something here, make sure we're good. Yeah, we're good. Tell a friend to tune in. We're early. I'm just getting myself set up. Don't mind me. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Greetings, greetings. Tell a friend that I'm on. We got 2 minutes to go and then we'll jump right into it. Let somebody know that we are here. We are ready to talk about assistant principal leadership. Let somebody know. We got 2 minutes to go, 1 minute to go, and then we get it started. Yes, sir. Let somebody know that we are here. We are live. Today is June the 13th, and I'm just waiting for this next minute and we can get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook, I see you. Twitter, I see you. Hit that retweet button. Somebody up there in the Twitterverse. Hit that share button. Somebody down here in the Facebook world. Let them know that we are getting ready to get started. Got a lot to talk about too. I had this. I created this agenda, and it got so extensive that I broke it up into part 1 and part 2. So today is going to be a part 1, and next week will be a part 2. So again, let somebody know I'm getting ready to get it started. It's about 11 o'clock. So again, hit that share button, Facebook, hit that retweet button, Twitter. Let them know we are here. We are ready to rock and roll. We're ready to have a solid hour of talking leadership this morning, instructional leadership. So I think at 11 o'clock, I don't want to waste folks' time. So let's get it started. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Greetings. Greetings. It is that time. 18 consecutive weeks. We're doing the virtual assistant principal leadership academy. And this is week 7. So we're not even at the halfway point yet. We've got a long way to go, but I made this commitment. I made it on the fly. Let me be very honest with you. I made it on the fly. One week I was just on here and I said, I'm going to do an 18-week assistant principal leadership academy virtually. And then I kept to my commitment. So here we are. And I take this very seriously. So you all know I start off, I got some brief announcements. And I hope that people don't tune in late because of my announcement, because the announcements are pertinent as well. But first and foremost, a lot of you, you've been posting on a daily basis, an hourly basis that those books hadn't arrived. Those of you that didn't receive them, and those of you that did receive them, you've been posting that you got them. So that's a good thing. Let me adjust this light here a little something. Yeah, so you got them. So let me just confirm for all of you, it's here. It's in stock, right? So now get your copy, right? If you've ordered it, it's on the way, right? The Assistant Principal 50 Critical Questions for Meaningful Leadership and Professional Growth. It is in stock. About 10,000 additional copies were printed. So you can get it at Amazon. You can do that right now. Just go on a different tab and get your order now. They'll ship it right out. Go to ascd.org and get your copy. Go to principalkafele.com. It'll link you to Amazon, I believe it is. No, I have it set up so it'll link you to both. So it's your choice, Amazon, ASCD, or you can go to Walmart and get it. You can go to Barnes & Noble and get it. You can get it wherever. But I want you to get this book. and you may as well get the companion to it, the Aspiring Principal 50. They go hand in glove, right? This is the book for this particular academy, but you're going to want this if you aspire to become a principal, right? They go hand in glove. So one of the things, going back a few weeks, I was talking about organizations in terms of attending conferences and institutes and workshops and so forth. But what I didn't mention, any names of different organizations and associations. I want to just throw three at you, three or four, a few. If you're not a member of a professional development organization, an educator organization, where they provide conferences and in some cases journals and books and so forth, professional development, certainly check out ASCD at ascd.org. Certainly check out the National Association of Elementary School Principals, NAESP.org. Certainly check out the NASSP, National Association of Secondary School Principals, NASSP. Certainly check out Innovative Schools Summit. I forget the exact website, but Google it. Innovative Schools Summit. Certainly check out Making Schools Work Conference, which is sreb.org. And certainly check out Black Educators Rock. Definitely check out Black Educators Rock. That's I forget the web address, but just Google them. Black Educators Rock. It might be blackeducatorsrock.org. National Alliance of Black School Educators. NABSE.org, National Alliance of Black School Educators. So you gotta belong to education organizations and associations. I don't mean just unions, but I'm talking about organizations that provide PD, whether it be in conferences, books, journals, and just a whole plethora of other activities. So get yourself a membership in various different education associations and organizations. Next, and I'm almost done, make sure that you join me at my School Leadership Institute. I do it every summer in July. This will be July 15 and 16. It used to be in a different state every summer, but we're virtual this summer for obvious reasons. So July 15 and 16 will be 3 hours on the 15th in the morning, 3 hours on the 16th in the morning, 9 to 12. There's a small fee. Go to principalkafele.com, scroll down to where it has my events for the summer, and look for School Leadership Academy with Principal Kafele. Register, and then I'll see you on July 15 and 16. We'll be talking principal leadership, not assistant principal leadership. And then lastly, subscribe to my leadership channel on YouTube. School Leadership Thoughts is the name. Subscribe to that. I drop videos all the time, so subscribe to that. School Leadership Thoughts on YouTube. I'm done. Let's jump into it. Last week, I left you with a parting question. Hey, Twitter, do me a favor, hit that retweet button. Hey, Facebook, hit that share button. It's so many people here. See, they got something that they're doing different now. What folks are doing, they're watching the videos at their leisure during the week instead of coming live. But I want you guys to come live because I want you to get some of this energy. I want you to get some of this enthusiasm. I want you to get some of this excitement. So it's easy to watch the video. I understand, people have their schedules. So I understand watching the video at the time you may watch it. But I want you to get the live too. And let me put this shirt up here, y'all. The letters are low. This is the Black Yankees. You heard of the New York Yankees, in Major League Baseball, but I wear Negro League jerseys. This is the New York Black Yankees, right? So I want you to just know, drop this baseball history every Saturday. The New York Black Yankees. This was a team that played in New York, obviously, but these were segregated leagues, so they couldn't play in the majors because they were black. So separate leagues had to be created for them. So the New York Black Yankees, do your homework, do your research if you're not aware of it, and find out about these Negro leagues. And some of the best players that ever lived, ever born, played in those leagues and were confined to those leagues because they were black, solely because they were black. They were African American, right? So last week I left you with this parting question that said, take a deep, honest, self-reflective, self-assessing look at who you are currently as an instructional leader and determine how you will correct whatever weaknesses and deficiencies exist. So I asked you last week, as we departed from one another, to just take a look at you in a self-reflective lens, self-assessing lens. Look at who you are as an instructional leader. and just determine, having that honest conversation with the person in your mirror, determine what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my deficiencies? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to purge? What do I need to enhance? What do I need to cultivate? What do I need to nurture? So I asked you, just take that question and self-examine. Just look at you, look into you, and determine what it is, what adjustments you need to make as an instructional leader, right? So use that ongoing, not just for last week, but just ongoing, that you're constantly, regularly assessing you, right? So we said, for anybody on here who's new, and I'm sure there are some, we have an overarching question for this academy. And the overarching question is, does my assistant principalship benefit my school academically? Once again, does my assistant principalship benefit my school academically? And the question is just asking, with you in the role of assistant principal, have you been relegated to a role of a disciplinarian, for example? Or is there something about your assistant principal leadership that moves the academic needle? So that is the overarching question for the entire 18-week academy. And I'm hoping that you all are going to ride with me for the entire 18 weeks. You know, this is college level stuff that's coming to you free from my dining room area, right? So all you have to do is sign in, take copious notes, apply it to your practice, and soar to a higher height. So today, for my topic, you see it on the screen there. It says, and for those of you that are using the book, because I told you, get the book, because I'm using it, right? So get the book. I'm on question 9, chapter 2. Chapter 2, question 9. And it my topic today reads, how do the teachers I supervise perceive me as an instructional leader? Man, let me say that to you again. How do the teachers that I supervise perceive me as an instructional leader? So now, see, I'm asking you about their perceptions of who you are, because it's easy for you to sit at your computer right now, to sit at your tablet right now, to sit at your phone right now, and to have in your mind that, yes, I am an instructional leader. In fact, you might say to yourself, I am a phenomenal instructional leader. I get it done on the instructional side. That may be your perception or your impression of yourself. But the true test is, what is their perception? What is staff's perception of who you are, in this case, not as leader, but as instructional leader? I'm not talking about the totality of your leadership. In fact, for the 18 weeks, I will never focus on the totality of your leadership, because that is too broad, right? I'm saying that I want to compartmentalize your leadership every Saturday. So in this case, I'm doing a 5 and perhaps 6 or 7 week focus on instructional leadership, but different components of instructional leadership. So here again, the question, how do the teachers that I supervise, and that's the ones I'm talking about, because you may not supervise every teacher in the building, but I'm asking you about the ones you supervise. What is their perception of who you are as instructional leader? See, that matters, and it matters so much. That's what this whole hour is about. So I know that a lot of you, because I've seen it on Twitter, a lot of you take like not only copious notes, but you've been creating these charts with the questions. So I'm telling you now, there's 6 questions for today. However, there are 8 sub questions. So there's 14 questions a day. So we're going to try to get through it all. But there's 6 broad questions, and then I've got these 8 sub questions. So we got a lot here to go. So number 1, and they're all posed self-reflectively for the new people that are here with me today. So number 1, what is my story as an instructional leader? Once again, and I'm talking about you, not me. What is my story as an instructional leader? I'm asking you, who are you as an instructional leader? What is your story? What is your journey, right? What is your trip throughout the course of the day, right? What is your story? So I want you to go into this self-reflection, and I want you to just think about, reflect back. Who are you? And I don't mean solely when you were in the building, but even virtually. When you were, some of you are still in school, most of you are probably finished for the year, but you still got a plan for next year, whatever it's going to look like. And with that, I'm asking you, what's your story? Let me give you an example. I've told you mine several times. I'm gonna give you the brief version. I was only an AP for the 1 year, the one complete year. And my story is a very simple story. It doesn't take long to tell it. Because my story was, I was a disciplinarian. It was only one principal, one assistant principal, and I was he. I was the sole disciplinarian in that building. That's all I did all day long, from 8 to 12. I'm sorry, 8 to 12. From 8 to 3, right? I was that person. But within that, I supervised the lunch period. So the cafeteria duty. Within that, I got kids onto buses. So bus duty. And within that, I maintained teacher supplies, inventory, and delivered it to their classrooms, right? So I was an inventory clerk. And then I can put a period at the end of that statement. I can put an exclamation point at the end of that sentence, that statement, meaning that that's all I did. Instructional leadership was not a part of my day, my repertoire, right? So I didn't know anything about that as a first year AP. I had to figure that out, right? So that's my story. So let's say in my mind, if I'm out somewhere conversing with people and they said to me, hey, Kafele, who are you as instructional leader? And I went on and exaggerated it and said, oh, well, I work with the teachers, help them to grow and all that kind of thing. And then you talk to one of the teachers from back in them days, they say, oh, he was the inventory guy, right? He was the disciplinarian. Well, here's the thing. What they said, right? So there's no alignment there. What they said, their perceptions of who I was, that's who I was. Their perceptions will define who I was, just as I say to you, their perceptions define who you are. So again, the question that I want you to kind of ponder over beyond this broadcast, what's your story as instructional leader, right? Are you that person? Does your leadership move the academic needle? Does your leadership grow teachers? See, does your leadership grow staff? You got to ask yourself that question. Hey, principals who are watching. Because see, a lot of what I talk about in the book and a lot of what I talk about on the broadcast, the assistant principal doesn't always have the authority to take what I say on a Saturday morning back to the school toward implementation. Doesn't always have that authority. So that's why I always invite the principal, the assistant superintendent, and the superintendent to be on this broadcast and to buy this book. So that as we look at the assistant principal and perhaps rethink the assistant principalship, so that this person is just as valuable as the principal toward moving the academic needle, toward the instructional growth and development of staff, toward the achievement of students in the classroom. It is vital, right? So let's go to question number 2, and I'm giving you these question numbers because, again, I know there's a lot of folks out there that write these in sequence and prepare the charts and all that. So I got the mirror up on question number 2, and it says, how am I currently being perceived by teachers that I supervise in my capacity as instructional leader? But I got a sub question to that, because I went into that in number 1. It says, can my teachers look at me and conclude that they are better teachers because of the collegial relationship they have with me? So let me say that again, because I sounded a little choppy on that one. Can my teachers look at me and conclude that they are better teachers because of the collegial relationship they have with me, right? So I'm asking, see, you can't get into their mind. You can't get into their head, right? You can't get into their head to know what they're thinking. I understand that. But their actions will demonstrate to you, will dictate to you how they are perceiving you. Because that teacher that is growing because of your leadership, you will see it because you know what you poured into that teacher. You know what you poured in. You know what those discussions entail. You know what that follow-up entail. So you don't have to have a teacher say to you, I'm growing. You don't have to have a teacher say to you, I'm improving in my practice. You don't have to teach it. You don't need to have a teacher to say that because you will see that in their actions. You will see the growth from, say, September to October, from, say, September to November. You will see it with your own eyes because you will see the implementation of that which you discussed. So again, can my teachers look at me and conclude that they are better teachers because of the collegial relationship they have with me? So let me heighten that a little bit. Here's what I'm saying. Can teacher look at you? Matter of fact, before I say it, hey, Twitter, hit that retweet button for me, somebody, because there's an AP sitting at home that they think that because they were such great disciplinarians and there was order in the building that they've done their job sufficiently. And they don't realize there's more to it than that. Hey, Facebook, hit that share button. Or better yet, somebody, you know an AP, call them. Hey, buddy, assistant principal, friend of mine, Principal Kafele is on right now, and he dropping some gems this morning. You need to be on here. I don't know what you're doing right now. If you're on the tennis court, if you're out doing your walk, if you're watching TV, if you're eating breakfast, you need to be on here with Principal Kafele because he giving you some stuff this morning on instructional leadership. Just call him and let him know, right? So here we go. I'm saying here, it's equivalent to the teacher if the teacher did articulate this, right? Hey, assistant principal, you know something? I'm significantly better at what I do because of the collegial relationship that we have. There's something about the things that you showed me, the things you pointed out to me, the things that you taught me, the things that you opened my eyes to that I didn't realize that I have. I had it inside, but it wasn't anything, no mechanism to bring it out of me. So it was just laying here dormant, and I needed some kind of mechanism to bring it out of me. And now here I am. I thought I was at my peak. I thought I was at my apex, but then our relationship brought a whole new me out, and now here I am achieving in terms of my teaching at a much higher level. I'm that much more effective at what I do because of that relationship. So I'm asking you, assistant principal, are you in position for your your teacher to utter or express him or herself that way? See? Or if the teacher didn't say it, but you can look at the teacher's face, you can look at the teacher's body language, and you know that teacher's feeling good about the relationship. This is a healthy, productive, constructive relationship that we have because, wow, me as teacher, I'm learning so much because my assistant principal comes in the room and sees things that I do not see, sees things or perceives things that I just did not perceive, pointed out things that I just didn't realize. And now I've grown. I thought I was at my apex, but now I'm going beyond what I thought was my apex because my assistant principal has pointed it out to me. See, I'm asking you, is that who you are? See, can my teachers look at me and conclude that they are better teachers because of the collegial relationship they have with me? Man, body language, it speaks volumes. Facial expression, it speaks volumes. Spacing between us, it speaks volumes. And so much other nonverbal communication, it speaks volumes. You got to be that person. I'm going to keep saying it for the 18 weeks. You cannot reduce yourself to a disciplinarian. If you've got discipline issues in your school, it means you have climate issues in your school. If you've got discipline issues in your school, it means you've got culture issues in your school. And you will not solve climate and cultural issues in your school with a disciplinary chart on the wall with consequences that says what happens when you do this, put a check mark. What happens what you do when you do this, put another check mark. Rules and consequences. That doesn't resolve issues of culture, issues of climate. The issues of culture, the issues of climate will continue to manifest until attention is given to issues of climate and culture. See, that's how that works. Let me keep going. Number 3, who in fact am I relative to the instructional growth and development of the teachers that I supervise? So I'm asking you, so therefore, based on everything I said, who are you? Like right now, I'm looking at 2 screens. And next week, I'm only going to be looking at one because I'm going to have that technology like just where I need it. Those of you seeing me doing them tests all week on Facebook and Twitter, I just about got it where I need it. One screen next week. But right now, I'm looking at myself twice. And as I'm looking at myself, I'm asking myself the question that I just asked you. Who are you as it relates to the staff that you supervise? Who are you? See, like one of the things I say to teachers of children of color, particularly Black children, I say, the most fundamental question that you could ever have your students answer toward achieving greatness in life. Just one fundamental question. Who are you? Who are you historically? Who are you culturally? And if you're struggling, if anybody out there, I'm still on task, but I deviated from this question slightly. If you've got one Black student that is struggling, just one, I will say to you, and I will take this to my grave, and I will never deviate from it. Once that youngster can answer the question, who are you? Who am I historically? Who am I culturally? Who am I within thousands of years of history? That changes the entire game. Everything changes when that youngster can answer that question, right? It's a game changer. Let me give you one piece of evidence. You've tuned into them, okay? I'm the evidence, right? So just keep that in mind. So now as assistant principal, I'm asking you, who are you as instructional leader? Let me couple that with number 5. Do my teachers perceive me as a source of sound instructional strategies? Oh man, we could do the whole hour on that one. I got to sit back on that one. Do my teachers perceive me? Because see, now I'm not talking about how they perceive you as instructional leader. I'm not doing that one. Now I'm asking, do my teachers perceive me as a source of sound instructional strategies? See, that's a different question. See, like do you have the strategies? It's like you guys tune into me. If I wasn't coming with anything on Saturday morning, why bother? Whether it be the live or watching the videos during the week, because we get more views on the videos during the week than we get live. Everybody watches when it's convenient, right? But people wouldn't watch if I wasn't providing sound strategy. What's the sense? I don't need to be entertained. I can turn on Beyonce, right? So here, I'm saying to you, you've got to be that source of sound instructional strategies. You can't go into a classroom as an observer and be dazzled by what you see, right? Of course, you can be pleased by what you see, but you got to take it to another level and be able to go into that classroom. And despite the greatness of what you see, you're positioning yourself to make the teacher even greater. So despite the extraordinary teaching strategies that are being implemented in real time in that classroom, you're going in there as a source of even more. That's what I mean by that. Do my teachers perceive me as a source? So now let me take it out of the self-reflective mode, and let me just go right at you guys now on Facebook and Twitter. Hey, Twitter, hit that retweet button for me. Somebody out there, man, they missing this. Hey, Facebook, somebody hit that share button. Somebody out there, they're missing this. They need this. They might be watching the news. They might be watching cable news. The same stories recycle every hour. So if you missed it at the 11 o'clock hour, I promise you it's going to be the same stories at 12 o'clock. And if you miss it at 12 o'clock, I promise you at 8 o'clock tonight, it'll be the same stories, just a different host. That's the only thing changing. That's the only variable that will change. Different hosts, same stories since 6 o'clock this morning, right? So just tell somebody they need to get on here, right? So now, those of you that are asking me repeat questions, just watch the video when I'm done, and you'll see all them questions reemerge. Now, here we go. I'm giving it to you now. Hey, AP out there. Hey, AP out there. Are you? Yes, you right here. You. I'm looking right at you. You right here. Are you a source of sound instructional strategies for your staff? Yeah. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you. Now, with that question, let's couple it with this. Watch this. Hey, AP, you were once a teacher, and you were probably more than likely a very good one, because that's how you got noticed with this particular position, unless you got it through politics. But I know you didn't get it through politics. You got it because you were great in the classroom. So how does your greatness in the classroom add to your value? Add value to the teachers that you supervise. See, all that what you brought to that classroom that got you to that AP position, how does that add value to the teachers that you supervise? Imagine you were in the classroom as a teacher whenever you taught, and you were taking care of business at a high level, and then you became a full-time disciplinarian as an assistant principal, and maybe as a principal. How does that add value to a teacher? But said differently, how does that add value to a youngster? Because remember, we can never lose sight of the fact that the instructional leadership between that collegial relationship between the teacher and the assistant principal, that's for the student, right? So we can never lose sight of that. It's not for the teacher. Of course, that we want the teacher to become better and better and better, but the teacher becomes the vehicle to bring out the greatness in the youngster. So at the end of the day, your instructional leadership is all about the child. But how are you being perceived by that teacher relative to your instructional leadership? So again, you were once a teacher, and probably a very good one. But how does that add value to the teacher that you supervise? We can call that, for those of you who are writing the question numbers, call that one 5A. Right? That was question 5, but it was question 5A. 5B, do you share appropriate instructional strategies with your teachers regularly? Oh man, I got to sit back on that. Hey, somebody. Hey, assistant principal out there. Do you share appropriate instructional strategies with your teachers regularly? Man, that's a big one right there. I had to pause on that one. That's a big one. See, let me rephrase the question. I'm still on 5B. Do you possess? Man, see, that's a different question. Watch this, y'all. Do you possess appropriate instructional strategies for your teachers? Right? And someone on Twitter said that word regularly was key. You got that right. Do you possess them? Like, do you have them in your arsenal? Do you have them within your repertoire? Do you have these instructional strategies? Because to sit there and have the meeting with the teacher, oh man, teacher, that was good. Teacher, that was good what I saw today. Keep up the good work. You know those people exist, y'all. That was good. That was a good lesson, teacher. Yeah, keep that up. Ain't nobody growing from that. Teacher might feel good about it. You know, you affirmed him or her. but I'm not getting better from it. That was a really good lesson. Wow. I really liked how you delivered that lesson today, teacher. You might as well save your breath. That's not making a teacher better. It may make a teacher feel good in the moment. Wow, my assistant principal praised me. Okay, good. But now, what was better about it? And how can we build on what was good? See, how can we build on that? That's what that's about. That's the kind of conversation you want to have, right? But you have to have an arsenal of strategies. See, well, I was getting ready to get ahead of myself. I won't. You have to have an arsenal of strategy. You got to have something to take into that classroom. You got to know what you're looking at when you go into that classroom. We're going to jump into that in a second because I want to go back to a question I asked you last week. But give me a minute. Let me go to 5C. 5C says, are you well versed in good, sound instruction that benefits all learners? Oh, man. I got to take a sip of water on that one. I got to take a sip of water on that question. Let me give it to you again. 5C. Are you well versed in good, sound instructional strategies that benefit all learners? Now, listen, I'm not saying, let's say, for example, when you were a teacher, let's say you were secondary and you were a social study, you were a history teacher, secondary, right? And now you're an assistant principal and you've got to supervise and evaluate teachers that teach chemistry, biology, physics, trigonometry, calculus, and let's say that those are not your areas, right? Because they weren't mine. That's why I could rattle them off so quickly. It doesn't matter because I'm not talking about your expertise in content. I'm talking about your expertise in pedagogy. Do you see the difference? I'm not talking about I'm not expecting you, if you don't have a background in physics and chemistry and biology, I'm not expecting you to be an expert in those three areas. But I am expecting you to be an expert in sound pedagogy, right? So what are the strategies in terms of sound pedagogy? The content, we'll let the supervisors of those content areas take care of that. See, there are different people in different lanes. You don't have to be everything to all situations. So you've got your supervisors and directors who can take care of the content. I'm talking about you with pedagogy, right? So are you walking into that classroom with sound strategies of good sound instructional strategies for all the learners in the classroom? Because see, I don't know anything about physics. I'm lucky I could spell it if I can be facetious, because somebody might take me seriously, right? So I don't need to know physics. I don't need to know trigonometry. I don't need to know calculus. But what I do need to, it'll be a feather in my cap, but I don't need to know it to be effective with that teacher. What I need to know to be effective with that teacher is sound pedagogy. But even if I have the sound pedagogy, if I have the sound strategies, if I'm not in that classroom, if I'm not engaged in that pre-observation conference, if I'm not engaged in that post-observation conference, then what difference does it make, right? So it's not just me being versed, being conversant in anything. It's me having the ability to go into that, well, first to have that pre-observation conference, because as I've said to you for many weeks, I'm not going into a classroom and looking at the hundreds of different indicators that are in that room. They're not relevant. The only indicator that is relevant is the one that teacher and I discussed. See, we're doing this thing methodically. So in the name of being methodical about it and also making best usage of time, teacher and I are going to discuss what we mutually agree is that this is the area of focus where you and I have detected here is the deficiency that we can develop, that we can grow. So now when I go in the classroom, there's a million things to see, literally. But I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at what we discussed. But if we didn't have the discussion, then what am I looking at? So that cold call popping into a classroom is not relevant here because we're talking about methodically growing the teacher, right? So with that being said, I want to go to the book now, Assistant Principal 50. So those of you that have it, I told you, I didn't ask you to buy this book just to read it. I'm using this with this academy. I'm on page 23 for those of you that have the hard copy. I know that those of you with the ebook and the Kindles and so forth, the paging is different, but I'm on chapter 2, question 9, right? And I'm right in the middle of page 23. I want to read this question to you. And it reads like this. Do I ensure that my staff utilize a variety of instructional strategies that consider the different learning styles? The book says take into account, my editor did that, I like consider, that considers the different learning styles, ability levels, and social emotional needs of my students in student-centered, culturally responsive, culturally relevant, and equitable learning environments. Man, that's a heavy one. It's so heavy. Let me give it to you again. I really don't need the book for it. Do I ensure that my staff utilize a variety of instructional strategies that consider the different learning styles, ability levels, social emotional needs, and student-centered, culturally responsive, culturally relevant, and equitable learning environments? Man, that's a lot, y'all. That's why I said I'm breaking this up into parts 1 and 2. So let's dissect that lengthy question, because you know the teacher in me, I wouldn't leave you hanging with that long question. You ask anybody that's ever been in one of my live audiences when I pose that question. I can spend an entire 6 hour, my full days are 6 hours of direct presenting, not including lunch. I can spend 6 hours on that question. I don't need any other slides on the PowerPoint, just that one question, right? So now, with that said, let me just say, every time you sip water, I think about what your daughter said. Oh man, okay. So yeah, it's Stephanie Jacobs. I hear you, because I'm corrupted by it too. Every time I take a sip, I think about what she said, because it turns out I'm the only one in the house that drinks water like this. I thought that was how you drink water. I didn't know you're supposed to put your lip in the bottle. I still think that's ridiculous, but that's for another time, y'all. Everybody else saying, what's he talking about? Right? So watch this, y'all. I want to break that question up. I know what time. Yeah, we got time. So let's look at the first part of that question. Before I go there, though, I want to revisit a question I asked you last week to give it context. The question said, do I have a philosophy, opinions, beliefs, and ideas about how children learn? Right? Let me say it again, because it's from last week. Do I have a philosophy, opinions, beliefs, and ideas about how children learn? In other words, I'm asking you, when you walk into a classroom, are you walking in there and watching instruction, observing instruction through a lens of, I know good pedagogy. I know the pedagogy that my students need. I know the pedagogy that I'm looking for before I even walk into the classroom? Are you walking in, looking at the instruction through that lens? Or are you walking in there, sitting in the back of the room, or sitting with a youngster at a desk, wherever it is that you position yourself, and just being dazzled by what you see? Because see, that approach doesn't work. You've got to go in there already knowing what you expect. You're going in there to inspect what you already expect. See, that's how you got to approach that, right? So now it's just like, for example, to give you a different context, because of the collegial relationship that you have with your staff, you already know what's happening in the classrooms you're not in, because you can only be in one at a time. So there's this expression I use a lot. Some of you who have heard me in person, you've heard me say this before, because I say it all the time. I say, I want to be able to see the leadership without seeing the leader. I want you to let that one marinate for just a hot second. I want you to be able to see the leadership without seeing, no, not you. I want someone. When someone walks into your building, if I walk into your building, I want to be able to see the leadership without seeing the leader. If I walk into a classroom, I want to be able to see the leadership without seeing the leader. So in other words, if I go into a classroom, I'm able to see the manifestation of the collegial relationship that you have with the teacher because it's evident in the instruction. If there's certain dynamics that you've imposed on the school in terms of what the school, what the hallways look like, certain components in classrooms, etc., the building per se, I'll see that because I know that's an extension of your leadership, right? So I'm able to see, or just the way students move in the hallways, right? Or just the way things are done in the school, the culture of the school. I'm able to see your leadership, although you may not be standing with me. Maybe you're home. Maybe you're at the superintendent's meeting. Maybe you're at a conference somewhere. But despite the fact that you're not in my presence or you're not in the building, I still see your leadership without having to see you, because you have left evidence all over the place that you are directly involved with that school. Right? Whether it be you directly, you delegating, you empowering others, but it's emanating out of your leadership. And that's what's key. So with that said, do I have a philosophy, beliefs, opinions, ideas about how children learn? Are you going into that classroom with that mindset? I know what I'm looking for. Right? So now with that, let's dissect that question. And that'll take us all the way to the end. And then we'll do part 2 next Saturday. Number 1. Do I, and this, we'll call these 6A through G. What letter of the alphabet is G? That's the 7th letter. So I got 7 questions. I'll try to run through them quickly within this 15 minutes. Number 1, letter A, 6A. Do I ensure that my staff utilize a variety of instructional strategies that consider the different learning styles of my students? Period. Stop right there. I said we're dissecting that large question. So I'm asking you, and I want to couch this within our topic, perception, right? So I'm asking you, when you walk into that classroom and you're observing instruction and going beyond being amazed and dazzled and impressed by what looks good, because it can really look good, but then you go beneath the surface and it's not what you think it is, right? So I'm saying to you, as you're observing that, are you looking for that multiplicity, or at least, maybe that word is too big, that variety of strategies that consider the different learning styles? Now, I'm at a disadvantage on these lives for the 18 weeks, and I know that, and I cringe often. You just don't see it when I'm doing this. And the reason is I'm using one instructional modality, and that is lecture auditory. That's what I'm doing, because I don't have options in this form. Now I got this stream, this streaming service that will allow me to type, but the thing is, it'll only allow it on Twitter and not Facebook because of the kind of page I have on Facebook. I don't have a public page. I'm using a personal page. If I use my public page, y'all don't follow me on there, so I won't be able to connect with you. Right? So, but on the Twitter side, I can actually type these questions out while I'm speaking, right? So, because see, so my disadvantage is I'm using an approach, we're not on Zoom. I can't create breakouts and you guys talk this through. So I'm at a disadvantage, and I'm just asking you to hang with me while I'm at it. But that can't, so I have a legitimate excuse. You don't have the same excuse, not in the school. At the school, when you walk into that classroom, and you're observing instruction, one of the things you must observe is how is this instruction connecting to each of the learners? Is it like someone just wrote, am I a fan or a spectator, as we discussed last week? So now I'm saying to you, you have to consider the variety of instructional strategies or expect the variety of instructional strategies because you want to consider the different learning styles in a classroom. A youngster can go through life, hear me well on this one. I think this might be the most important thing I say today. A youngster can go through life as an underachiever for the sole reason that the youngster was subjected to a teacher that did not have a variety of instructional strategies that considered the different learners, the different learning styles in a classroom. That youngster at age 8, at age 10, at age 12, at whatever age, can suffer through that experience to the extent that it determines his life chances throughout life. Because now that youngster, because of that circumstance that year, that youngster could wind up growing up not realizing his or her brilliance because I was not performing at a high level that year. But it wasn't that I was so I wasn't performing not because I don't have the intelligence, not because I don't have the brilliance. I wasn't performing because I was subjected to a teacher that did not consider or did not know or did not have the wherewithal or did not have the strategies to meet my learning needs. And I will tell you something. I'll let you in on a secret that I have never kept secret. I'm a product of that, right? I am a direct recipient of that. I went to high school for 5 years. I spent 5 years after high school doing nothing, nada. I was a recipient of that. No one saw good. I'm talking about at the school level. My mom was fighting tooth and nail, but I'm talking about at the school level. I had nobody, hear me. I had nobody that saw something in me and said, let me tap into that young man where he is. I didn't have that. So I wound up graduating with a 1.5 GPA in 5 years of high school, 4 different schools. So I'm saying to you, I'm a product of that. But had somebody realized, well, wow, one of the things that one of the issues with young Principal Kafele is that he's not an auditory learner. That's one of the issues right there. He's not auditory. He's 59 years old now and watches cable news and half the time don't know what they said. Because the same 12-year-old learns the same way at 59 years old. So but the difference is the 59-year-old knows how he learns and he's able to accommodate, right? But what about that youngster that doesn't even know what we're talking about right now? That would never understand that. So as AP, when you walk into that classroom, you can't just because it looks good, man. Oh, man, it looks good, man. It looks like something. Oh, man, this is good stuff. Man, our test score is going to rise because look at that teacher, man, getting down. But here's the problem with that. Is it connecting with everybody? See, sometimes we think, oh man, that young man's going down the wrong path. Nah, that's not the problem. The problem is youngsters in a classroom being subjected to 180 days of instruction that's being spoken to the wrong side or the wrong portion of his brain. See, I know Zoom would be cool, somebody just said, but I'd have to pay a lot of money for these numbers, folks. I'm doing this for free already. So I can't pay that Zoom fee to have these kind of numbers. So it would be cool. Maybe one day we'll figure it out. I set up a GoFundMe and all y'all send me some money, and then I'll do this on Zoom, and then it would be a much more productive discussion. But that's for another time. So that was 6A. Let me go to 6B. Do I ensure that my staff utilize a variety of instructional strategies that consider the different ability levels of my students? Oh, it's people on Twitter saying, I'm down, I'm going to chip in, set up the GoFundMe. You never know. I mean, we only in week 7. We got to go to 18. So maybe I will set it up and y'all can pay for them Zoom costs. Because when the numbers are like this, it costs a little money, right? So as you probably know. So let me explore it in my mind. So here we go. Do I ensure that my staff utilize a variety of instructional strategies that consider the different ability levels? So now, if I've got students performing here and students performing here, I don't want to devote all my attention and my energy and my time to the student here at the expense of the student up here, right? So now I have to know, I have to be versed and proficient in cooperative learning and be able to give equitable attention to everybody in the classroom, right? So there's a skill set. So now as AP, instructional leader, that's a part of what you're doing to build that teacher. So that teacher's perceptions of you are, wow, my assistant principal enabled me to transition out of a lecture to being cooperative and meeting the needs of all learners of different ability levels in a cooperative, heterogeneous classroom learning environment. It's doable. So, but that's where you come in. You can't have the teacher out there on an island by themselves and they're looking around searching books and workshops and so forth and trying to find out how to implement this cooperative learning when they got you in the building to come into their classroom to work with them to ensure that all students of the variety of ability levels, the needs are being met. That's on you, leader. A principal watching. If you're utilizing your assistant principal as a disciplinarian, with everything I've said thus far this morning, you got to re-examine how you're using that person, because that person needs to be in that classroom helping that teacher in this regard with 6B to be able to maneuver through and balance the variety of ability levels that are in that classroom, right? Let's go to 6C. Do I ensure that my staff utilize a variety of instructional strategies that consider the social, emotional needs of my students? Hey, somebody, in case you forgot, you have some students who are coming to school with some very real challenges that impact them emotionally. And some of them, many of them, are too young to effectively manage their own emotions without the support of staff and others. Do the instructional strategies in that classroom take that into account? Said differently, in that cooperative setting classroom, cooperative learning classroom, in that student-centered classroom, youngsters have to be able to interact socially. Youngsters have to be able to collaborate with one another. Youngsters have to be able to cooperate with one another. Youngsters need to be able to communicate with one another. Youngsters have to know how to listen and know when to speak. But those skills have to be taught. But then when you go in the classroom as instructional leader, I'm going to say it again for the umpteenth time. You're not looking at every indicator imaginable. That's not what you're doing. You're going into that classroom and you've identified, wow, there are youngsters where this in this classroom where the social, emotional needs of youngster are not being taken into consideration. So there's an area that teacher and I can discuss when we come together and have a pre-observation conference or post-observation conference. And now that may be the focus, because there are students, because see, I think about like urban schools. Youngster, over a period of time, we're going to recommend special needs. We're going to recommend medication and all these things or different kind of placement. And those are not the issues in some regards. The issue may have been the fact that the youngster has emotional needs that are not being addressed. And because they're not being addressed, they're manifesting in ways that are undesirable for the teacher and perhaps for the classmates. Because as teacher, I'm not with an assistant principal who's in position to help me, to assist me to work with youngster whose emotional needs are not being met, or whose social needs. So you got this loud youngster in the classroom, always blurting out something, always yelling out, always talking. Or maybe this youngster happens to be one of your high performers, and because of such is yelling out correct answers all the time. And on the one hand, you like it because it's correct, but on the other hand, it doesn't give anyone else an opportunity. Those are social situations, right? So now Even that has to be addressed. As bright, as intelligent, as high performing as that youngster is, the way that youngster is interacting in that class in terms of blurting out, yelling out, whether it be answers, whether it be just things on his mind, whatever it is, you have to be in position to correct that without using this strategy. Watch this tactic. Hey, Jalil, stop it. Sit down. Be quiet. Shut up. Because, I've heard that too. That doesn't work. So now, but if that teacher doesn't have that skill set to be able to talk to Jalil in a way that Jalil hears teacher, but in a way that's not offensive and puts a barrier between the two of them. But that's where you come in, AP. But if you somewhere stuck with some referrals, oh man, let me read this long referral. Jalil, at 8 o'clock, Jalil did this and that. And then at 9, he did this and that. And at 10, and then the teacher got fed up. And now Jalil is down in my office. Hey, Jalil, what'd you do? I don't know. So now you got to go back and reinvest. You got to investigate and find. You see how much time you wasted? That's time wasted. We don't have that kind of time. That's why your instructional leadership is so key. Let me go on. I'm down to 6D. 6D. Do I ensure that my students are provided an opportunity to learn in student-centered learning environments? I mean, so now somebody said, "Come on, Kafele, I'm trying to bring as much heat as I can, right?" So I'm saying to you, let me read it again. Do I ensure that my students are provided an opportunity to learn in student-centered learning environments? Man, so in other words, I don't want to see the teacher as the star of the show. Your teacher's name on the marquee, right? Teacher got the Oscar. No, I want the students. So it's got to be, the class has got to be about the children. The class has got to be about the children. I keep on looking at my Twitter screen. Hey, Facebook, let me give y'all some love too, man. It's got to be about the children. The teacher, your title has to shift. You're a facilitator. You're facilitating everything that's going on in that classroom. But assistant principal out there that's watching live or who will see the video later, that's how you've got to train the teacher. You've got to train the teacher to be facilitator, not lecturer. Now, if this teacher is teaching at the university or so-and-so, and you're the dean up there supervising the teacher, then fine, the lecture works. But we're not at the university. We're at ABC Elementary School, ABC Middle School, XYZ High School. That teacher, therefore, has to understand that it's not about them. It's about the young people. See, it's about that student-centered learning. And I'm getting down to E, but like I've broken down that bigger paragraph, but next week we're gonna break it down even further, right? Because I'm still not at that core just yet. So now letter E, 6E. Do I ensure that my students are provided an opportunity to learn in culturally responsive learning environments? Oh man, y'all, I need an hour on that one. It's 12 o'clock. Look here, y'all. I know y'all got things to do, but I'm gonna ask you, since your brother here in Jersey City, New Jersey, giving you so much free information, ain't nobody. We not passing the collection plate here, right? I'm not waiting for a check from you guys in the mail. So just hang out with me. Give me like 10 more minutes. I'll be done in 10 minutes. Do I ensure that my students, I'm on E, are provided an opportunity to learn in culturally responsive learning environments? And when I say that, here's all I'm saying. Is the environment an environment where, because I'm culturally different from my teacher, that's not an issue? Whereas on the other hand, teacher has gotten to know me culturally. Teacher has gone the extra mile and said, I need to understand this youngster culturally, subculturally, subculturally. Because I'm not superior. We're just different. And to be crystal clear, teacher could be black and student black. Teacher could be Latino and student Latinos. Teacher could be white and student white, and we still miss each other culturally. See, just because you look the same racially doesn't mean that you're similar Culturally. See, so culturally, there could be broad differences. So I'm saying here, you and I have to be culturally responsive to that learner, understanding that culturally, that youngster's bringing a different experience into your classroom, not an inferior experience, just a different experience, which impacts how he or she thinks, learns, processes, and makes sense out of information, right? I'm a dissect that further next week, so I don't need to go further with it, but let me couple it with letter F. Do I ensure that my students are provided an opportunity to learn in culturally relevant learning environments? Oh, man. Culturally relevant. So in other words, hey, teacher, I hear you with this math lesson. I hear you with this science lesson. I hear you with this social studies lesson. I hear you with this whatever lesson. But here's what I'm asking you, teacher. This is the student asking without asking. Hey, teacher, like, where's me in the lesson? Where's me? Like, teacher, what's this got to do with me? How's this applicable to my life? Like, I'm going home at 3 o'clock, teacher. What's this got to do with me? How can I use this? How can I embrace this? How can I own this? How can I claim this? What's this got to do with me, teacher? I don't see me. I don't see its application to my world. I don't see its application to my life. It's so generic. Youngsters not saying that, but youngsters simply saying, what do I need this for? But that master teacher, because see, let me take this sheet of paper. Curriculum is curriculum. I may have done this in the past for you guys. I'm doing it again. Curriculum is curriculum. But I'm saying to you, curriculum is just a document. It has no life. It's just a document. It's that master teacher that does this. Breathes life into it. And now as they breathe life into it and bring their own knowledge base, their own experiential background, their own research into this document that may not be inclusive of the youngsters who are sitting in that classroom, it doesn't matter now because that master teacher breathed life into this thing. And now we're going to bring that information. Now we're going to make sure that we are culturally relevant for the youngsters that are in that classroom. This lesson is not for the generic child that doesn't exist. This lesson is for the youngster that is in your classroom. So we want to make sure that we address that youngster so that youngster says, oh, I see me. Now I want to illustrate that next week. I'm going to break it all down. I see them numbers dwindling, folks saying I got to go. I'm getting ready to be done. I'm on the last one. Letter G. Do I ensure that my students are provided an opportunity to learn in an equitable learning environment? An equitable learning environment. Man, that's going to encompass everything, whether it be trauma, whether it be social, emotional, whether it be whatever. Everything I mentioned aforementioned before I got to G. So I'm saying here, next week we're gonna break all that down because there's so much to say about that. So let me do this. I got a parting question for you. Parting question. Take this with you throughout the week until we get back next week. Those of you who watch the video later, until you watch the video the next time. It says, how will I better align the perceptions I have of myself as an instructional leader with the perceptions that staff have of me as an instructional leader? Let me read that again. How will I better align the perceptions I have of myself as an instructional leader with the perceptions that staff have of me as an instructional leader? So we'll continue this next week into week 8. Once again, the Assistant Principal 50, it is available on wherever education books are sold. Get your copy today. Don't wait. I'm pleased with all the feedback I've been reading on Twitter. Folks are saying it's on point. It's got what I need. It's taking me to the next. I'm hitting the next level. I'm seeing all of that. But get the companion, the Aspiring Principal 50. If you aspire to be a principal, or if you are a new principal, say 1 to 3 years, I wrote this for you too. If you're a principal or looking forward to becoming one, I wrote this for you. And then lastly, the question with the big question. The book with the big question, is my school a better school because I lead it? Once again, is my school a better school because I lead it? Get all 4. Go to Amazon right now. Go to principalkafele.com right now to hook you up to Amazon or ASCD. Go to ascd.org and get it. Go to Barnes & Noble. Go to Walmart. Go wherever these books, education books are sold. It is there. Don't forget, register for my School Leadership Institute, July 15 and 16, 6 hours, 3 on the 15th, 3 hours on the 16th. We're talking principal leadership. It's just a nominal fee. It's virtual, but this is not something I do for free. So do that. Go on my website, scroll down, and you'll see it there under my summer events. School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. Click the link, register, and I'd love to see you for those 2 days in July talking principal leadership. It's for anybody, right? But we're talking principal leadership. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, School Leadership Thoughts, and also get all my other resources on principalkafele.com. I got 50 or so articles. I got 500 videos. We got a lot of stuff on there. We got the books. And then lastly, as I always end, COVID-19. Y'all don't leave me yet. I got to tell you about COVID-19. It didn't go anywhere. Some of y'all thought it was over. Oh, we can go out. We're free. Let's hug and kiss. Right? You thought it was a done deal. It's not. It's here. It's wreaking havoc. It's here with a vengeance. Look, put this on. Here. Put this on. Y'all don't leave me yet. Put this thing on. Look. Yes, I look ridiculous. I was going to do the presentation like this today. Maybe I will next week. It's just that it makes me sweat. Put this thing on. Right? So when you go outside and you're around other people, wear your mask. Wear it. If you're doing your exercise, it's not good to run in this. So just do it like this here, right? And then when you see somebody that you're getting ready to pass, do like I do, because here's what I do. Oh, I ain't catching nothing from them, right? So then you put it back on, right? So mask, 6 feet apart, hands clean, right? Stay at home, right? Because we trying to get back to school, y'all. But if everybody's outside thinking the virus is over, we'll never get back to school. Kids will be learning on. I did 5 graduations on a computer, sitting right here. 5 graduations this year, sitting right here. This is not where I want to do a graduation speech. A video. I want to be on their stage, handing the diploma to the youngsters with their principal and their superintendent and board president and all that kind of stuff. Put on your mask, wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and get your exercise in. Stop eating all them snacks. Get your exercise in, do the right thing, make wise decisions, and then I will not have to hear that something happened to you because you made unwise health decisions, right? So I'll see you next Saturday, 11 o'clock Eastern. Forgive me for going over, but you can't penalize a guy for giving you free game. That wouldn't be too cool. I'm mad at him because he giving all this free stuff and he took too long. I'm mad at him. Man, he ain't getting paid a penny for this. And he went over. I'm mad at Principal Kafele, man. Hey, Principal Kafele, I know it's free, but keep it short. Man, you better go find somebody else and see how much free game. See if they give you 18 weeks of free game, right? Hey, y'all, let's close it out. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. I'm keeping this mask on. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Then cock your fist back with me and count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I see you next week.